this was the day. This was the day I was leaving my friends, my hometown, the town I grew up in since I was 5 years old, to go sailing. My boat is called Mistress. She's a 40-foot Gipsy 402. When we brought Mistress, we didn't know anything. I was looking at the toilet, aka the head, and I was like, so how does this thing flush? We didn't know how to turn on the motor. We didn't know how to clean the holding tank. We just had to figure all of this out. Then we had to move and we had to put some diesel. We had no idea how to maneuver a boat, so we ended up actually hitting a brand new power boat, 50-footer. It was a magnificent little thing. We were lucky because it wasn't sold yet, and the company who sold us this boat, they were selling the other boat as well, so there was a mark and they just rubbed it off and that's it. We just left with the skipper. We're lucky we did, because sailing in England is not that easy. In England you have rivers, you have currents, and you have massive tides, like 6 or 7 meters. So because we've got a long keel boat, if you get in the way of the current, it's really difficult, if not impossible, to maneuver it. We hired a skipper to go until Plymouth, and we arrived in Plymouth, and then we said, okay, now it's our time to leave on our own. Because our skipper had taught us some things. For example, he had showed us this app to see how good the winds are. So we waited for a slot where the winds would be on blue. So you don't need wind for a sailing boat. That was stupid of us, because after this week, the winds just stopped. But the waves didn't. Everything felt fine when we left. But then we found ourselves with no wind, because we actually had waited for a slot where there wasn't any wind, and with a lot of waves, because it was right after there was a lot of wind. That meant that we had to use the motor for the whole journey. When you're heeling, you don't necessarily feel those waves as much. But when you're motoring down, you just go like this. And you feel everything. There was this part where the tide was nearly trying to drag us to the coast of France. And we were battling the tide. We were doing a speed over ground of 1 knot. But our actual speed was 6 knots, meaning that we had a current against us. And we didn't know that the closer you get to the coast, the bigger the current is. So we just got close to the coast, and that's what happened. When we arrived in France, we were looking for somewhere to fuel up, because we had used the fuel for about 24 hours. Because of lockdown, everything just closed down after 4, and we reached Camaret-sur-Mer at night at about 6:30. So we knew that we needed to find a place where there would be an automatic pump so we could fuel up. It was our first time parking alone, and we didn't know anything. Things on water move, like they don't stay still. A car, when you park it, it stays still. Well, if you're on water, there's always something that drags the boat away. And I kind of didn't take that into account. I was on land trying to catch the ropes and to do the 080 knots, which I had no idea how to tie a knot. My parents were on the boat. My dad was skipper and my mum was throwing the ropes to me. We had to have 3 attempts. We hit the boat twice. We tied up the boat and we went outside because my father, he needed some cigarettes. Unfortunately for him, everything was closed, because by that time it was 7. and it was locked down in France, so they had curfew. From 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. nobody was allowed to go out of their houses. We left the boat at 7, and we have this surprise that we are in a ghost town. There is nobody on the road, not even police. So there's nobody enforcing this rule, but everybody's inside. We tried to talk to some people who they're inside their homes, and they're like, no, go back to where you came from. The next morning, the guy with the marina, he came by. He told me, do not go out after 7 p.m. I was like, okay, but I want to leave France now because I need to go to Spain. Does that mean that I cannot sail from 7 o'clock? And they were like, yeah. I'm like, that's crazy. I'm sailing. I'm on my own. There's no other person next to me. And I have to go into a marina at 7 o'clock. We left France at around 9 o'clock in the morning. This trip would be a much longer trip. It would be 3 days across the Bay of Biscay. And the Bay of Biscay is quite choppy. It was my mum's birthday when we were crossing, right in the middle of the Bay of Biscay cross. So I went up to her and I said, happy birthday. And she's there with a bucket in her hand, and she's like, it's not so happy. Because my mum, she's got really bad seasickness. Even after the 2-week crossing we did, she was still sick. Back to the Bay of Biscay trip, the waves were choppy. I saw a shark for the first time there. But it was a really nice trip. We arrived in Spain on the 1st of May, and we parked in a half-empty marina in A Coruña, where all the marineros, the guys who work at the marina, were really nice to us, and they helped us park when they saw that we were having trouble again. And then we decided to celebrate my mum's belated birthday. We went to the restaurant and we brought some fish and some seafood, where we had a massive feast. Afterwards, we walked the dog in Spain. A Coruña is beautiful. Everything is so well maintained. Then we went back to the boat to have a shower. This is all I have for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope you would subscribe and click the bell for some notifications if you want to know more about my journey.